This is the Lancer Locker Show on KYNT. Now, let's talk some Mount Marty University athletics with the coaches, as well as your host and the voice of Mount Marty University athletics, Tel Tanner.
Let's talk football here on KYNT. My name is Tel Tanner. It's Riverfront Sports 102.1 FM, AM 1450, KYNT-TV. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook. You got internet connection. You can listen to this show and Lancer Athletics throughout the year. Let's go ahead and talk about today's show. First off, it's a football recap. Football season ended for Mount Marty University on Saturday as they finished up their season with a 3-8 overall record, 2-8 in conference, and only their third year of existence, which means they're ahead of schedule. Once again, some of these GPAC teams, the team that is in the playoffs right now in Dort, it took them 8 years to get multiple GPAC wins. Lancers did it in year 2 and year 3 both. They're ahead of schedule. We'll see what they're able to do in year 4. But once again, today is going to be that football recap. We got 3 coaches that we had in the booth a little earlier today. Those coaches are the head coach, John Michaletti, co-offensive coordinator, Josh Lewis. He's the offensive play caller, and the defensive coordinator in Brian Grace. He's the defensive play caller. We talked with all 3 of those guys about this season, about recruiting, about next year, about some player performances, and everything in between. We even talked some food and some golf, just because why not? It's the Lancer Locker on KYNT. Let's go ahead and go to that week in review, some of the games that we saw over the last week. There's not a whole lot. It's the end of crossover season, football, basketball, mainly. First off, that final football game of the year, Concordia University in town, 45-21. Concordia did win at Crane Youngworth Field over the Mount Marty Lancers. They finished with that 3-8 overall record. For the basketball teams over the last couple of days, first off, the women's team played up at Dakota State on last Wednesday, 87-63 final. It was Mount Marty playing at the number 16 team in the nation up in Madison. They did fall in that one. They have a 2-2 record on the season. The men's team this last Wednesday, they had 2 exhibition games. They played USD, the University of South Dakota, on Monday, 85-53 loss in an exhibition, and a 93-66 loss to North Dakota State on Wednesday. They had the weekend off. Get ready for conference play. Mount Marty women's basketball tonight will take on the University of Sioux Falls up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 7 p.m. That is another exhibition game. We will not have coverage on KYNT. We will have coverage of conference play basketball starting on Wednesday. Both basketball teams travel to Sioux Center, Iowa to take on Dort University. Pregame 5:30. 6 p.m. will be the tip-off between the Defenders and the Lancers. We've got coverage. With that said, let's go ahead and go straight to our year in review of Mount Marty University football. I spoke with all 3 of those coaches ahead of time. We spoke earlier today as they are in the middle of player meetings right now, doing those end-of-season meetings and putting a bow on 2023. We're doing the same. So let's go ahead and go straight to it. I spoke with the offensive and defensive coordinators first, in Coach Lewis and Coach Grace. That right now on the Lancer Locker. All right, back on the Lancer Locker, continuing our recap of Mount Marty football. Year 3 in the books. This Lancer program already well ahead of schedule. If you look at some of these other GPAC teams and where they were at in year 3, the Lancers a 3-8 overall record, 2-8 conference, had some very good wins and a very good win over Midland late in the season. Let's go ahead and bring in a couple of coaches now. We've got an offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator for Mount Marty University, Coach Josh Lewis, Coach Brian Grace. Grace, this is your first season with Mount Marty. Coach Lewis, you've been here for a couple of years now. Thank you guys for coming in.
Yep, thank you.
Most definitely.
So let's talk about this Mount Marty football season. I want to start off with the offense, then we'll go to the defense. First off, I wanted just a general statement of the season. What do you think the progress was, and where do you want to be next year? Coach Lewis, tell me about that offense.
Yeah, so as far as the strides we've made, since year 1, we're still going the right direction. This year we were way more explosive and being more of a vertical threat instead of having to put together long drives. So that was something that we harped on in the spring ball. And there were games like that. We were able to do that and to be a threat. That was one thing that was really good. But overall, it was good. I'd say our biggest challenge was consistency, and that was one thing that you just gotta, find a way to fix that. There were some games where we were on and looked really sweet and we're rocking and rolling, and there's some games where we're just stalling out and it was a struggle, and it's, you're trying to figure it out on the sideline during games, and it's, it just took a little time to turn the page, to turn on a gear, to get going. So that was probably our biggest hurdle, I feel. We just got done playing, so trying to reflect back on that from the year, that was probably our biggest negative, is just consistency. And so, but as far as, how we did, there were quite a few games where we, put up over 40 points, which is sweet. There were games where we had to come in at the end, whatever the circumstance was, to win it, like at Midland. And so like that part of the battle and the mindset of that was good this year. So that part made me happy.
Coach Lewis, I also got to thank you for bringing me a Celsius energy drink as we start this broadcast here. I always love talking those with you, and you brought me options as well. So that was very nice of you. Now let's go to the man who did not bring me a present. That's why he's going second. Coach Brian Grace, thanks for coming into the studio. It's your first time here on the Lancer Locker, and it is your first season here with Mount Marty. First off, I want to start with your journey here coming to Yankton. I know you come from USD, but can you give me your coaching background and how you came to Yankton?
Yeah, most definitely. So originally from Salinas, California. I was a junior college transfer. Went to Grandview University. I played there for 2 years, and then once I was done, my defensive coordinator, Coach Travis Johansson, he took the defensive coordinator job at the University of South Dakota. When I was done playing, he hired me on as a graduate assistant. I was there for 2.5 years. Learned everything really from him. Then after that 2.5 years, this past February was when I came on staff over here at Mount Marty. So got to jump in right away in the spring with the guys, and really sit down with those guys and get to know them, and really introduce that new defense to them in the spring. So,
Coach Grace, as you came to Mount Marty, what was that initial connection in the first place? Obviously, when did you meet Coach Michaletti and the rest of this staff, and when were you brought in?
Well, I actually met Coach Michaletti on the airplane. We were on the airplane back from the convention, but Coach Drinkle, Matt Drinkle, who's the offensive coordinator at Army, is good friends with Coach Johansson, and that's how it's a mutual connection there. And then also Coach Mike Woodley was the one who started the program at Grandview. He was my head coach when I first got to Grandview. I knew that he had left after my second season, or actually once my second season started, to start the program over here at Mount Marty. So there was a few different ties and a few different connections that kind of led me over here, but it was really that initial probably connection with Coach Johansson, and then Coach Drinkle, and then obviously Coach Michaletti. They all know each other. So
now I'll ask you the same thing as Coach Lewis in terms of the defense. Obviously, it was your first year taking the helm. How do you think it went this year, and what are some of the goals for next year?
I think as, a first-year coordinator, it went as good as maybe probably not as I thought I would imagine, but, this first year is a learning experience. That's what this is all about for me. It's about understanding and learning the guys, and coming in with a new defense, and trying to install that in the spring. One of the biggest things I think for us was consistency, and them being comfortable with the scheme. It's a little bit different in terms of calls on the back end and things like that. There's a lot more responsibility I think that those safeties need to have, and things like that. But the biggest goal for this, I guess, season was for those guys to, one, build a culture around our defense, and then two, develop them just fundamentally and technically, with block destruction and tackling, and getting those guys better at that, which I thought got a lot better as the course of the season went on, especially from the spring. Looking into the future, what's the biggest thing that we have to do as a defense is we have to get more consistent. We have to be more consistent with, what it is we're doing as a coaching staff. Myself, Coach Heck, and Coach Wiebelhaus, us sitting down together and probably getting some better plans for those guys to go into those. But, I would think that just those guys coming together as a culture is going to be huge.
Let's go ahead and take a break here on the Lancer. We'll come back in a couple of minutes. More from these two guys, Coach Lewis and Coach Grace. Back in a couple of minutes in KYNT.
Moving is hard work. This is Deb Speck from Vision Real Estate, and I'd like to show you how I can make moving a little easier. From staging your home, providing moving boxes, and the use of our enclosed courtesy trailer, to the behind-the-scenes marketing, attention to detail, you can rest easy knowing you have an experienced professional working for you. Call me, Deb Speck, at 605-664-5555.
Most of us have an idea about the type of home we want to live in, a decorative vision. Whether it's a traditional residence inspired by a specific period, or a minimalist model of function and efficiency, or a cool boho pad filled with plant life and earthy decor, you deserve to have the home you want. And at Slumberland, we want to help you achieve it. Live in the home you dream about. See us at Slumberland in Yankton, 2401 Broadway.
When you need to be sure, make it Sureco. Smart Trailer from Sureco is still the most complete line of electric accessories for your grain trailer. Smart accessories such as the 4500 Series HD electric tarp, Pro Trap, and Auto Trap electric hopper doors, and the Drive Max Auger Drive Kit from Sureco both offer convenience and peace of mind for operators. When only the best will do, give us a call at 1-800-474-8756 or find us online at sureco.com. Make it Sureco.
James and I are having a beef.
About which Runza burger is best.
It's the savory Swiss mushroom. Hands down.
No, it's the double cheeseburger. 2 burgers, better than 1, 'cause math.
The spicy Jack burger is also good.
True. Wait, why are we fighting?
I forget. Come get your favorite Runza burger today, because Runza makes it all better.
Runza, now in Yankton at 3206 Broadway Avenue.
Beef, pork, seafood, poultry, and more. All at the Meat Lodge in Yankton. Get top quality meats at great prices. They have specialty items like lamb, brisket, mahi-mahi, crab legs, and lobster. They even have non-meat options like Dimmick cheese, pickled items, seasonings, and sauces. For your convenience, you can call and order curbside pickup or order online at meatlodge.com. The Meat Lodge in Yankton, on the way to the lake on Highway 52.
We were founded on innovation and a passion to help our customers. This is Tiffany Tucson at Aztec in Yankton. We want our employees to thrive and succeed. Our core values are more than something we list on a wall. The team continues to grow. We have openings in a variety of departments. Sign-on bonuses, double overtime, immediate benefits like retirement, savings, paid holidays, bonus earnings, tuition reimbursements, and more. Build your career with the group that's built to connect from rock to road. Stop by 700 West 21st Street or apply at aztecjobs.com.
And we're back here on the Lancer Locker. Let's keep it rolling with the offensive and defensive play callers here at Mount Marty University, Coach Lewis and Coach Grace. Now, you guys, obviously, the 2 play callers for the different sides of the ball, but you seem to get along. What's up with that?
Mm-hmm. We've had a pretty good relationship since when Coach Grace joined the staff. I don't know, we just kind of clicked pretty well. We've gotten along, and we hang out. We play golf together.
Yeah, we do.
So it's, I don't know, we get along well.
All right, now who's the better golfer?
Coach Lewis.
Myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you take some money from him?
No, we can't, because I'll lose my money every time.
Oh, man. So, Coach Grace, as you came into Mount Marty University, what were some of your first impressions of this coaching staff that really made you say that this is where I want to be?
Just kind of the family orientation. They all knew each other for a long time, and that was the biggest thing for me, is leaving somewhere and going somewhere where I know I was going to be kind of taken care of, and being around guys who we all had the common goal, which was to build a great culture and to win, and that's what this is right here. It's just a group of guys who want to win, want to build a great culture, and then also just develop and help grow young men.
Now, for the two of you, it's not just battling against each other in practice. It's also just kind of an iron sharpens iron. You're really trying to get each other prepared and get your offense and defense prepared for the week. Mm-hmm. How does that work on a typical week? How close do you guys work together to get a scout defense or a scout offense to help the other?
Every day.
How does that work?
Yeah, so we go... So we believe, like kind of what you said, iron sharpens iron, and we like to do good on good. And so whenever we're breaking down our opponents, we find the stuff that they do obviously consistently, and then try to tie it into like what we can do. And so, pretty generic plays like inside zone and or power. A lot of teams run that, so we can obviously give those looks out of the specific formations. And then there are times where we we need to show something to the defense that we don't do, but we're gonna have our good on good stuff. So we got you gotta map that out a little bit. little bit of teaching in the classroom before meetings of like, hey, we're going to give this look to the defense. I know it's not something that we do, but they need to see it. And so that's kind of that's an every workday of practice thing, and you prep with that throughout the day when we're scripting practice, and you walk over. I mean, our office is one big giant room, and so it's really easy to just walk over, yell across the room, "Hey, Coach Grace, what do you need to see?" You know, so we communicate really well on those tasks, or we'll text at night or call at night and speak through something of, "Hey, can you do this for us?" So
now, what does that office dynamic look like? How many coaches are in the same room? How many got their desks in there?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that look like on a regular day? Is it as crazy as I'm imagining, or is it pretty quiet as people work in there?
It's loud.
chaotic.
It's loud. And then, so we like our guys to be in there too, our players.
Okay.
So when they come in, like Big P, love the dude. He talks a lot, man. He's awesome, but and he's a lovey guy. Like he just wants, he just likes to talk to people. And
every time I see him, we always get some sort of conversation.
He comes in, we have food in there for him, so it's an open door policy. That's how we want it. And then so there are some times it gets pretty chaotic in there. But
it's because there's food in there.
Oh,
you just mentioned the
food's
food.
Food's the secret. Food keeps everyone happy.
All right, what are the snacks that are always in the office?
Granola bars, right?
The fruit snacks, the Welch's fruit snacks. We ran out of those a few weeks ago, but those go by really fast. And then we always make sandwiches for the guys for games, and so we always have 100 left over. And so those are the go-to. And then chips. Chips are unlimited in our office. Any kind of chips you can get.
And there's always a bunch of peanut butter and stuff like that. So they can come in and make peanut butter jelly sandwiches. We got a toaster and stuff so they can toast it all and everything. They can get pretty gourmet in there.
Yeah. You got a lot of dudes to feed. I get it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this off season and some of the upcoming things. So first off, for the offense and the defense, we'll go in turn. Start with the defense this side. What is the off season going to look like?
I think now it's really just about breaking down all the games, getting very, very detailed with those breakdowns, and looking at the things that gave us troubles, what personnels, what formations, what type of plays, and then also just getting back into the playbook and cleaning it up, simplifying things in some areas, grouping things together, and just getting something put on paper and also made up in the huddle and things like that when it comes to PowerPoints and stuff like that to be able to teach the guys. It's nice, obviously, having a whole spring and a whole fall camp and a whole season with a new defense, because now you have all the videos and all the photos that you need. Now you can just group those things together and you can start making cut-ups and stuff like that and getting ready for the spring. The spring is going to be huge for us defensively. To really reteach this defense again on a larger scale. The guys know what they're going to be walking into, so it's going to be a little bit more fast-paced, but there's going to be way more attention to detail, just fundamentally and technically. So,
Coach Lewis, as we go to the offensive side of thing, I assume it's going to be similar. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so we won't change our identity. That's one thing that I do like a lot about how we've built our offense here is it's the same system for 3 years, and it's steadily just gotten better and better and better.
And it's got to help that you got a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to be very senior heavy next year. And so, our points per game has continuously gone up every year. The yard, all that, the number stuff, it's going the right way if you look at it like that. And so, to me, the worst thing to do would be to just wholesale change it and do something that we'd start over, And so that's part of being new in a program. That's one thing that I really wanted to do was lay the foundation, which we did that first year. We had to go through some stuff, but just to lay that and the guys learn it and master it. And you could start to see that as we go each year. And so this off season, it'll be, like I said, we are senior heavy, but there's still some young guys that we have that need to develop and just learn that role to where when some guys are done, they can just step right in and get going at it. And then obviously there's, There'll be some wrinkle stuff. We always explore in the off season. You talk to people like, hey, how do you do it like this versus this front? Oh, that's a good idea. So there's always wrinkle ideas you can find. But our identity of what we do, we want to run the football, set up play actions, RPO, all that stuff. We're going to stay the same. We're not changing who we are.
With a senior heavy team, sounds like you're not forging anymore. You're sharpening.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
As we go into this final question for the two of you, before we go to John Michaletti, the head coach, I want to ask, is there anything you each want to leave Lancer Nation at the end of this season going into 2024, or a message for recruits? Because you're still got that signing day coming up and you're bringing people to Yankton.
Yeah, so I know the record doesn't reflect of how much better we got this year. That was a big thing that, we competed in a lot of games, and the excitement is still there. The community support's awesome. I know we finished number 1 in attendance overall. So, that all of the excitement is still there, and that's one thing that we're going to continuously, like what you mentioned, sharpen that, especially on the offensive side with what we're doing. But I'm ready for spring ball to get going again and just to get right back to it, because it's still exciting.
I think for us as a defense is just we're ready, man. We're ready to get back in the lab and start working and bringing some guys in here who are really going to compete and push guys who are already here. That's the biggest thing for those recruits, is knowing that they're going to come in and they're going to come in here to compete with guys and get us better.
We'll talk about recruiting and the season as a whole here in a couple of minutes on the Lancer Locker with the head coach of the program, John Michaletti. That upcoming, but first off, thank you both for coming in today. I appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
That was Coach Brian Grace and Coach Josh Lewis, the 2 offensive and defensive play callers, a couple of very good coordinators from Mount Marty University. Let's go ahead and take a break, come back in a couple of minutes with the head coach of the program, John Michaletti.
At Pizza Ranch, we want you to pick and choose. This is Annie from Yankton Pizza Ranch, and right now, our online carryout deal is pick and choose 2 or more of select items for just $7.99 each. Choose from a medium 1-topping pizza, a medium cheesy ranch sticks, a single chicken fries, an 8-piece boneless wings, a chocolate chip cookie, a small cactus bread, or 4 20-ounce beverages. Carry these out, and your dinner is done. Pick and choose at pizzaranch.com.
It's day 1 of your new career. Parker of Yankton has immediate openings for material handlers, machine operators, and setups for both day and night shifts. Along with a full benefits package beginning your first day on the job, Parker is offering a second shift pay differential of $235 plus a $1,000 retention bonus. Paid vacation, sick leave, 13 paid holidays, medical, dental, vision, supplemental, and paid life insurance all begin day 1. Quarterly profit sharing and a 5% matching 401k plan. Fully vested on day 1. Apply now at parker.com.
Parker, engineering your success.
Powerful changes occur when people unite. At United Way of Greater Yankton, we unite people to activate positive change and to make lives better. Help us build a brighter future for all through access to healthcare, basic needs, a good education, and financial stability. Learn more about United Way of Greater Yankton, our mission, our programs, and how you can help online at yanktonyunitedway.org. Together, united, we are building a brighter future for all.
I've never been Nick sick, but my little sister has. She was vaping with friends. She thought it was cool because I did it. That hit me pretty hard. Did some checking, found out that nicotine in vape is really dangerous, especially for younger kids. You get a buzz, but when the nicotine wears off, your brain, it craves more. It permanently affects learning, focus, and mood. Nicotine addiction is no joke.
If you need help quitting vape, call the South Dakota Quit Line at 1-866-SD-QUITS.
Wellness should feel good and taste good. That's why Alani Nu offers a range of delicious energy drinks to support your goals while bringing bright, bold flavors to your daily routine. Whether you want to hit your last rep, beat the competition, or simply balance your hormones, do it all with an Alani Nu energy drink in hand, promising to increase physical performance and boost focus with just 10 calories and no sugar or gluten. Alani Nu energy drinks are a healthy way to fuel your fun. Stock up today.
Hello, here's to welcoming moments, big and small, embracing the unexpected, savoring life. At Avera, our nationally recognized health system will be right here with you, ready for anything. We listen to your goals and help you achieve them with care and coverage. We'll move you forward through sickness and health and every milestone in between. Avera, moving health forward. Learn more at avera.org/forward.
All right, back on the Lancer Locker. Let's go straight to the head coach of the Mount Marty Lancers now, John Michaletti. Year 3 in the books, Coach. First off, give me your opening thoughts on the season as a whole, the strides made, and the goals for next year.
Yeah, really proud of the competitiveness our guys have shown throughout the whole year. Obviously, the record wasn't as all what we wanted, but, you reflect on the games and you just, if you could change one play here or 2 plays here and there, I think it would have been a complete different season, which obviously can cause a little bit of frustration, but then at the same time gives you a little bit of motivation moving forward there, and understanding that how close you really are to making huge strides. And with a young program, it's exciting.
Let's go through the season as a whole, starting it off with that non-conference game. I know there was a lot going into getting this game in the first place, and it ended up being a home and home. You get the 28-23 win over Culver Stockton, and you go to Missouri to start the season next year. Can you tell me what that matchup's going to look like the next time we see the Lancers, and how that started this season?
Yeah, obviously that game was awesome because it gave us a little bit of bragging rights. Coach Sally's a good friend of mine, so when I run into him at the convention, he owes us a little bit, so that'll be nice to be able to pay up on that. But no, it was it's good to be able to play teams out of conference. I think it's somebody different. You get to challenge yourself as coaches, but then again, see how our conference matches up against other conference opponents as well.
And it seemed like a good game. It was a good test to start the year going into conference play.
Yeah, I think so too. It was one that got us ready for the conference. Obviously, I know their record didn't turn out as well as they wanted as well. I think they, after talking to Coach Sally, didn't stay healthy, which I know is the name of the game and the name of football. But like I said, prepped us for the GPAC schedule pretty well.
As you go into the rest of the season, you then had that 40-14 win over Briar Cliff. Then you went into that tough slate of the season, probably the toughest 3-game stretch anybody in the country played at Dordt, Morningside, Northwestern. You had a really good game against Morningside, tougher games in there as well. Can you tell me about that 3-game stretch and some of the focuses for the team during it?
Yeah, those three actually just yesterday announced the playoffs, so those 3 teams did make the playoffs, which I don't think there was another conference opponent that had more than us, so it tells you how much the GPAC is respected nationally. And actually Morningside and Northwestern both got first-round byes as well. So, both those teams are strong teams, been doing it for a few years now. I know Dort's more of somewhat of a newer team. I think that 2008 was their first year, but Morningside and Northwestern have quite the tradition there. And those are teams that we try to want to resemble, whether it's the toughness, whether that's the togetherness, the family atmosphere, things like that. And obviously the wins follow that. So a lot of respect for those teams, and I look forward to continuing to play those as the year to come.
After that, I had a couple of close losses, one in South Dakota, one in North Dakota, to Dakota Wesleyan and Jamestown. Then you go into that Midland game. It was kind of a cold, windy game in Fremont, and one of the things that really factored into this one was the wind. The field conditions in this ball game in the fourth quarter really helped you turn the tide. Can you walk me through your strategy going into the opening coin toss? And as you were thinking ahead there, you told me post-game you were thinking of that fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was one of those games that obviously, reflecting on the Dakota Wesleyan and Jamestown game, that we didn't finish well in those games. There was close games that came down to the end of the wire there, and then hopefully that gave us a little bit of motivation there for the Midland game. But yeah, in the second half there, I remember asking the refs, are they taking the wind or are they taking the ball? And they're like, oh, they're for sure taking the ball. And I was like, well, did you ask them? Because all the experience in Kansas with good old windy Kansas down there. There's a lot of times that we would take the wind over, taking the ball, because that is the wind is better than a possession there, and that ended up paying off for us in the end, being able to have the win there in the fourth quarter.
Coach, going into that, once again, you were down 20 points at the end. You're 7 minutes to go. You put 21 points up in 7 minutes to go, beat Midland on the road, one of the biggest wins in program history. At the end of that ball game, what was the message to the team? What was the kind of the general feeling?
Well, just letting them know that they're doing the right stuff. They complement each other well. Obviously, we were being able to score when needed. We got stops when needed. Obviously, we even forced a turnover there or two on special teams as well. So that was a complete game there, at least there in the second half there. And that's some excitement for our team, and giving them a little bit of a positive feedback that they are doing the right things against a good Midland team. So our guys, especially being once again a young team, it's good to have that positive reinforcement, like I said, against a good, tough Midland team.
Ended up tying your record last year at 3-8, tying for that program record in terms of victories in year 3. In terms of the trajectory of this team moving forward, what are some of these goals going into next year?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're not looking too far ahead. I think that's one thing that our team, and I'll take a little bit of blame for that, is looking too much at that as, oh, hey, can we get to that fourth win? And as we reflect on this year, there was a lot of games that you could say, like, hey, we should have won the Hastings game, or we should have won the Doane game, should have won the D-Dem game, should have won the Jamestown game. Well, it's worry about one game at a time, worry about one step at a time, one play at a time. and not really trying to bite off more than we can chew, and with us going into finally being a senior-heavy team this next year on both sides of the ball, hopefully that maturity factor sets in a little bit and leads that way.
Let's talk about those seniors for a moment. You graduate 10 out of this program. We celebrated 11 on senior day. We know that Ken Gay's coming back for one more year. But you graduated a pretty good class, a lot of impactful players. Can you give me your general thoughts on this year's senior class?
Yeah, I'm always very respectful of the guys that put their time in, especially this group that, when you look at the Sonny Castillos, the Brandon Kraft, some of those guys that have been here from the get-go. Those are guys that I remember having conversations with on the phone about recruiting to try to get here, and without anything to really sell them. Just what's to look forward ahead and building up that golden standard. And those guys, had a lot of opportunities to leave, to go look at other places and things like that when things didn't go their way that first year. Not having a program, having COVID on top of that, and then the next year not winning a game. And those guys, proved their grittiness. Prove that they're men of their word and being able to stick through. And at the end of the game there Saturday, reflecting, especially with those two guys, like they were both, having happy tears, saying this is the dream, coach. Like this is what we talked about, and being able to reflect on this, and very proud of this moment. So, and then you look at some of those other guys like the Isaiah Thompsons and Tyree Morrisons, guys that we were able to transfer in here and really be very productive athletes. Had a lot of production on the field, a lot of production off the field, where that was help building up some of the younger classes, or scoring touchdowns and things like that. And then lastly, talking about like Maxwell Welch, a guy that transferred here for his last semester, of eligibility, being a two-sport athlete, and sharing that, hey, coach, this is the most fun I've ever had in a season. That makes you feel a little bit better, especially after a tough season and a tough loss.
Let's talk about some of these individual players and some of the performances from this season. We'll start obviously with the quarterback, Ken Gay, the second coming in this season. His final numbers, 54% completion percentage, 2,452 yards, 29 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, a couple of those garbage time near the end of the season in games we're trying to get back into it. But overall, pretty good numbers for the junior quarterback. Can you tell me about your guy?
Yeah, he's obviously getting a little bit more comfortable in the scheme, in the system of everything. And I think a little bit of that, too, is also getting trust with those players. You've seen him a little bit get more comfortable in the pocket this year, being able to stand in there, make some of those throws downfield. Still taking too many hits, I think, but that's just you want to make sure you're always protecting that quarterback. But no, he's obviously numbers are up there in the nation, so you got to be proud of that.
There was a moment in the Concordia game on Saturday. Ken was scrambling. He went downfield, got a first down, and then slid at the end of the play. And on the broadcast, I laughed out loud and said, finally, he avoided the hit. And I thought that was just funny. Is that something you've been telling him to do? Slide more, avoid those hits?
100%. That's one of those things you got to be. And you always want our guys to be competitive, and there's a time and a place. If it's, end of the game, or if you got to get that first down, I understand you lowering that shoulder. And Ken's a big guy, he's over 220 pounds, so he's a tough guy to tackle. But like I said, this is a very elite conference. You're playing some good defenses. The guys are gonna, come lay the wood each and every week. So you got to make sure that he's protecting himself. And that slide, I remember, because it wasn't the most graceful slide either. So I'm still kind of working on that.
Not every offseason you got to focus the quarterback on, you're going to teach this guy how to slide. Well, maybe get him some practice reps with the baseball team.
Right, yeah. We'll see if Coach Tycro can coach him up a little bit.
Let's go to some of your running backs. You had a room that had some injuries this year. You really dealt with some banged up backs. Isaiah Thompson ended up being your feature, ended up with 5 touchdowns, 692 yards on the season in those 10 games, the majority of that coming in the first half of the season before an injury kind of set in. Can you tell me about that room and what it's going to look like next year after you graduate Thompson?
Yeah, Isaiah did an outstanding job there, being able to take most of the load there at the beginning of the season. It was actually that Midland game where he went down, and then he didn't really come back till this last game against Concordia. But he's such a dynamic back. He's a guy that can do some of our bash concept, getting outside. He's a guy that can run downhill, great back at running zone, great back at running power. He's a good back out of the backfield too, receiving. So he's a complete back. He'll be a tough guy to replace, but the good thing is he was also a good leader too. And, some of those young guys like James Hurd, who got a little bit of carries there at the beginning of the year, he was a guy that we got high hopes for. Jaden Horach, obviously you've seen some short down in situations, and then obviously in that Doan game, he was able to go until he actually went down in that game. But, we got some guys that have a little bit of experience in the backfield, and obviously always looking to bring in some more guys to sharpen the edge there.
One of the guys that running back room, we didn't see a lot of carries in his freshman year, but man, he was making special teams plays, was Crownover. I know you've got a lot of young backs that are just ready to roll for next season.
Yeah, Crownover's a guy that, we plugged him in a lot of different spots. He was a special team specialist, as we call it. He forced a lot of turnovers there, was able to jump in there and take a couple carries in that Doane game when we were pretty depleted there in the backfield there, but ironically, he's a guy that has been playing linebacker the whole year. So he was a guy that can kind of do a little bit of everything. So, and that's the thing that we try to do is try to do a great job recruiting, bringing in best guys. And, in the end, the best guys will play and they'll make the team better.
As we talk about some of these defensive guys coming into this one, Josh Pickthorne ended up with 12.5 tackles for loss. You have Cameron Middleton, who played some really great football at the back half of the season, 9.5 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks for him, 5 of them to be exact. Can you tell me about some of these defensive guys that really stood out this year?
Yeah, Cam Middleton's a very good player. He's a guy that he's very coachable. He's one of those guys you love to coach as well because he's always got a positive mindset. He's a fun fact about him. He's allergic to grass, so in our practices on grass, he's a little bit slower, so the offense likes to have their way with him. So this last week when we were over at Crane, he looked a little bit different at practice. So. But he's a fun guy to have around, and then you have Pickthorne, who's getting more and more comfortable out there, making plays, getting off blocks, and you see him make, as you said, quite a few tackles for loss there. So he's having more and more confidence in himself, and that was his big thing to be able to improve from year 1 and year 2 for him. You've seen Tyler Ivey and Josiah Gaetani, start to have some success there at corner as well, and then I think there's a big difference out there when you've seen Gabe Baptiste out there as well. I know we missed him for a few weeks there with his arm injury and stuff like that, but he brings some excitement. He's always around the ball, and he has fun playing football, which to me, being a defensive guy, that guy that played defense, that's a lot. It says a lot, if you're out there having fun playing defense, and they do that all often.
Coach, as we talk about this next year, I want to talk about this recruiting class. Can you tell me some of the names of guys that have already committed? And I know obviously you can't release everybody because not everybody's fully committed yet, but can you give me some of these guys that are coming next year?
Yeah, we got a guy out of state champs up there at Sioux Falls Lincoln, a nice lineman out there, Ben Heiberger. He committed to us right at the beginning of the season, which was huge, and we're working on getting a few more of his buddies that seem pretty close. We got a guy out of McCook, Montrose there, Carter Randall, another guy that is a multi-sport athlete. I love the linebackers that also have the wrestling background. We have a guy, Lionel Whittingham. He's a transfer out of FAU, so he's going to be a guy that's coming from a little bit farther away, Florida Atlantic University, but he'll bring a little bit more depth there to the offensive line. We got a lot of guys that we want to continuously build it up here through the Midwest here, and working on a lot of these Yankton kids here as well. Want to make sure that we gave them the rights to kind of finish the season and do all that. But a lot of those guys are actually coming on campus this week to kind of have some talks and hopefully be able to sign here shortly. We had a couple kids this last week commit there. One of the kids out of Texas, Christopher Hickman as well. So like I said, if we continuously build it up around here and then pick and choose from the guys from a little bit farther away, I think we'll continuously build us up the right way.
Coach, I want to ask you one final question. As you give me your final thoughts on 2023, going into 2024, you're going to have a senior-heavy team next year. It's really starting to seem next year is going to be a special year for Mount Marty. Can you give me some of the expectations for next year and your final thoughts in 2023?
Yeah, I think our expectations are, the sky is the limit there. I want to make sure that our guys are able to, like I mentioned earlier, not focus, be able to have their goals down there, but really focus on the process of how we get there. And, a lot of guys want to talk about playoffs and stuff like that, but it doesn't happen unless you take care of one game at a time. Having senior-heavy class and a bye week, which is, I think it's either week 6 or week 7 right there in the middle, which will be crucial. We haven't had a nice bye week yet, so it'll be nice to be able to have that playing as well. And then second year of running this defense, fourth year of running this offense, so our guys are going to be a little bit more comfortable out there. It's just make sure that we gotta make sure that they stay healthy and continuously stay hungry.
Coach Michaletti, this is the final time you're going to have to see my face for a little while. The season comes to a close. We talk multiple times a week, and we'll talk again, I assume, in the offseason about the recruiting class when it's finalized. Thank you for coming in all year long. Well done on the season. Good luck next year.
Thanks, Till.
This is the Lancer Locker on KYNT. Let's take a final break. Come back in a couple minutes. We'll wrap things up.
This is Brandon from Lewis & Clark Ford. Picture this. It's football season and time to tailgate. You pull up in your new F-150 from Lewis & Clark Ford and drop that tailgate with a smile that screams, I know what I'm doing. Take advantage of up to $8,000 off an F-150 today from Lewis & Clark Ford and tailgate with a smile. Lewis & Clark Ford, a proud sponsor of Mount Marty Athletics.
Lewis & Clark Ford Lincoln, 4th and Capitol Yankton, lewisandclarkford.com.
At Triple Time Rudy's, you get convenient access to quality fuel products. Plus, you'll also find quality South Dakota products like Dimmick cheese and premium meats from the Kaler and Renner lockers. With a local-friendly feel and unique product offering, Triple Time Rudy's is your local convenience store that supports schools and events and provides fuel discounts to Yankton's largest employers. For all of your daily fill-ups and convenience needs, pull into Triple Time Rudy's at 17th and Broadway.
Caring for the land is one of the most important, fulfilling things a person can do. If you're looking to add more land to your ag operation or refinance existing debt, Dakota Mac can help. For 30 years now, they've been providing long-term, fixed-rate loans for ag real estate. To make things easy, Dakota Mac has an experienced specialist in your area.
Hi, it's Jeff Wolfgram from Dakota Mac. Call us at 800-682-4578 to learn how Dakota Mac products can work for you.
Oktoberfest is a brief moment of fall beer drinking beauty, so have Samuel Adams Oktoberfest on hand as the nights get cooler and the days a little shorter. Smooth taste with the roasty sweetness and light hop character that's only available for a short time. Kick off cooler weather with food and friends and don't miss a moment with Samuel Adams Oktoberfest. Grab it while you can at your favorite place to buy beer.
As a proud community bank, Core Trust delivers more than just checking and savings accounts. We invest in the cities and towns where we live and work by volunteering to coach youth sports teams, supporting local charities and the arts with our time and resources. Whether we live in a rural town in South Dakota or a suburban city in Minnesota, it's a place we call home. Core Trust Bank. Raise your expectations.
Member FDIC.
Looking for the perfect meal that hits the spot every time? Look no further than Boss's Pizza and Chicken. At Boss's Pizza and Chicken, they're serving up piping hot, mouth-watering pizzas with all of your favorite toppings. And that's not all. The crispy roasted chicken is a taste sensation that will keep you coming back for more. Whether you're dining in with family and friends or enjoying a night in, order Boss's Pizza and Chicken of Yankton, where every bite is a moment of pure satisfaction.
And we return one final time here on the Lancer Locker and a football wrap-up. I got to appreciate all three of those coaches for coming in and talking with me today. We had a lot of fun both on and off the mic. Just talking sports, obviously talking Broncos. Coach Lewis and I are both Broncos fans, so we had to talk about that. Coach Michaletti, a Bears fan, so he's always fun to make fun of. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about that upcoming schedule for Mount Marty University. First off, the Mount Marty cross-country team is going to be having the national meet upcoming this Friday, November 17th. They're going to be over in Vancouver, not Vancouver, Canada, Vancouver, Washington. For that one, it'll be Friday, will be the national meet. The GPAC Championships was back on the 4th. And then we go to the indoor track and field season. We'll have Coach Dan Fitzsimmons on the Lancer Locker sometime in the upcoming weeks to talk about that recap of the NAI Nationals for cross country and a preview of the indoor track and field season. Once again, the football team ends their season with a 3-8 overall record. Basketball, tonight the women's team is up at USF. They're going to be tipping off here pretty soon, actually. 7 p.m. will be the tip up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, an exhibition game for the Lancers, and then conference play begins on Wednesday. A men's-women's doubleheader in Sioux Center, Iowa at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. We will have coverage of that right here on KYNT 102.1 FM. That's going to do it for our show today, a football recap show, a full wrap-up as we finish things up here today. So once again, big shout-out to those three coaches who joined me today, Coach Grace, Coach Lewis, Coach Michaletti. I love having those guys in. It's sad to see them go, honestly. I don't get to talk with them as much over the next couple of months. But the good news is we're going to have a lot of basketball, a lot more coaches coming up on the Lancer Locker over the next couple of weeks. But for today, I am way over time, and I got to get out of here. This has been the Lancer Locker.